Good evening, I'm Dan Wool.
And I'm Laura Lee. Thanks for joining us. It has been a little more than a week since 29-year-old Adam Johnson lost his life following a horrible accident during a hockey game.
And today, those who knew the pro hockey player best gathered in his hometown of Hibbing to lay him to rest. Northern News Now's Cara Kopp spent the day there hearing how he's being remembered.
Monday, inside this Hibbing Memorial Building, 3,000 people came together to remember and say farewell to a hockey star, friend, and family member gone too soon.
We have to remember the legacy of Adam is how many people he touched, throughout his life, and the importance of him to everybody.
Outside the service, which was off limits to media, two men chosen by Johnson's parents shared their memories of Adam.
They're not here because he was a hockey player. He was just an outstanding kid.
Jim Perunovich and Scott Pionk talked about the kid from the range who could effortlessly light up a room.
But once he got warmed up, being around my kids and his friends at the weddings we've been to the last 4 years, as soon as he walked in, Johnson's here, Johns, what's up, Adam's here, and the whole place got better.
And even after graduating from UMD, playing in the NHL, and then overseas, Pionk says Johnson was still that hometown kid, setting an example for the next generation of hockey players, many of whom attended the service wearing an Adam Johnson jersey of their own.
He's a hero for all these little kids. It's tremendous. It's truly tremendous.
The hockey player remembered for being a wonderful person whose impact is now being felt across the hockey world and all around the globe.
His outreach is beyond the city limits of Hibbing and state of Minnesota. Just a wonderful, wonderful human being.
In Hibbing, Cara Kopp, Northern News Now.
Yeah, what a lasting legacy. While the Johnson family is asking for continued privacy, they want to thank the thousands of people who have shown love and support during this very difficult time.